place on earth. Personal note, A Work of Absurdity by Jeff Weisman. Available at the Journal of Experimental Fiction, JEF Books, Amazon, and other places. Asked to lead an investigation by the Bureau into the inexplicable behavior of a town that has seemingly gone insane, a highly regarded psychology professor encounters absurdist leaders, madcap citizens, figures of questionable authenticity, and a plethora of outrageous denizens, all spewing impossible statements and making fantastical accusations within an indecipherable logic before being put on trial for crimes that are blatantly opaque. The question remains, was this what it felt like to live in America during the first 2 years of the Trump administration? Stylistic invention, direct citations, wild play, outlandish humor, compassion, random dispatches, historical photographs, FAW documents, and a variety of other approaches to convey the larger metaphor. Welcome to the greatest place on earth. Excerpt 1. Time served. You all right? I suddenly heard as I looked around, my vision uneven and blurry, while seeing a middle-aged black man, a little older than me, sitting on a concrete bench next to me, reaching out to grab my shoulder. You all right? What? I responded, immediately pulling away from the man. You, he said again, continuing to stare at me. You okay? Where am I? I answered, reaching up and grabbing my cheek, a large welt clearly pronounced on the side of my face. The same place as all of us, the man replied, leaning back on the bench, his head resting against the brick wall. Jail. You've been out for several hours now. Jail? I repeated, standing up and quickly noticing a metal door lined with bars to my right, the whole 10 by 12 concrete block cell suddenly becoming clear to me. But where's my assistant, and how did I get here? I asked, half to myself and half to the man, while walking over to the metal door and glancing down the hall, a seemingly endless number of jail cells suddenly visible to me. We were just on our way to town. Oh, you're in town, the man replied, sitting upright again and laughing momentarily. But what is this place? I then said, straining to see if I could make anything else out around me. It seems mammoth. I told you, the man answered, continuing to chuckle slightly. Jail. And it's quite the place too, huh? But I didn't do anything, I said, turning and looking at the man, his face taut and strong-looking and his eyes piercingly focused. How could I? I just got here. I've been invited here for business, in fact. That's what everyone says, the man replied before wiping a little sweat from his brow. Innocent as charged. Personal note. What does that mean? But this place is huge, I said, reaching up and feeling the welt on the side of my face again. How many people are here? I don't know, the man answered, shaking his head at me. A battalion's worth, maybe even more. It's hard to say. But that's ridiculous, I replied, turning and looking at the man. This is a tourist town, and I don't see anyone else. They're here, the man said, almost laughing at me again. Don't worry about it. You'll see them in the mess hall, and you'll hear them cry at night, too. But what did you do? Why are you here? I didn't do anything, the man answered, taking a rag out from his pants pocket and wiping his brow. Like everyone else, I'm innocent as charged. We're all innocent here. But people have to be here for some reason, I then said, walking back over to the door and straining again to peer down the corridor. Why, the man replied, snickering briefly. Now, sure, some say they probably did something, although I've never met anyone yet who knows exactly what. But that doesn't make any sense. So, the man said, getting up and walking over to the metal sink in the corner of the room. What did you do? Nothing, I answered, shaking the doors. Guard, I then yelled. Guard! See, the man said, twisting the faucet on. Innocent, as charged. Guard! And I wouldn't bother with that, the man simply added, looking back over at me. It won't do you any good. Personal note. What does that mean? And then, after a few disconcerting minutes, my cellmate simply sitting against the wall, counting the cracks in the ceiling, I reached into my shirt pocket and pulled out a letter from Aaron I somehow forgot I brought with me. Excerpt 2, The Doctor. Staring at the doctor, I suddenly remembered where I saw him from. My file, I thought to myself, suddenly picturing the page. Yes, of course, please, the doctor said, sitting down in his chair in the corner of the small examination room, his white coat flanking his thin build. Have a seat. We need to see how you're doing. But I'm only here to work on my research. I really don't see why I need a physical to do anything like that. Yes, of course, but think of it as a necessary formality, the doctor replied, picking up his clipboard, his hair frizzing wildly all about him. Because everyone must undergo a thorough evaluation in order to work for the Bureau. That's simply the way it is. All right, I said, scooting back a little further on the examination table, the paper mat crinkling beneath me. If you insist. I do, the doctor stammered, casually sitting back in his chair. And you're saying you're in fine health? Yes, I answered, looking at the doctor, his hair admittedly distracting me. Honestly, my assistant suddenly interrupted. In fact, he's in the greatest condition ever known to man. All other human specimens are based on him. Of course, the doctor said, taking his pen out from his front coat pocket and clicking it open, the pop sound reminding me of an old water gun trigger being pulled, before repeating while writing on his clipboard, in fact, he's in the greatest physical and mental condition ever known to man. All other human specimens are based on him. Health itself is envious, my assistant continued. Health itself is envious, the doctor repeated, leaning forward in his chair and obviously writing that down on the piece of paper on his clipboard, too. Projected lifespan is 10,212 years. Projected lifespan is 10,212 years, the doctor again repeated, continuing to write on his clipboard. A simply stupendously stupendous human specimen, my assistant added, smirking at me slightly. A simply stupendously stupendous human specimen, the doctor repeated. I am, I said, not sure what to think of what was going on. See, my assistant interrupted, looking over at me, his yellow construction helmet sitting half sideways on his head, right from the horse's mouth. And then the doctor handed me this typed letter. To whom my concern. I have been the personal physician for Mr. Williams since, put requested date here. Over that time period, I am proud to report that Mr. Williams has remained in excellent health. In fact, he's in the greatest physical and mental condition known to man. All other human specimens are based on him. Health itself is envious. Projected lifespan is 10,212 years. He is simply stupendously stupendous human specimen. Additionally, over the last put requested time frame here, his weight has remained excellent, his virility is magnificent, his stamina is unrivaled, and his genitals are truly remarkable. Add additional points as needed. If employment entertained, I can state unquestionably that Mr. Williams will be the single most healthiest individual ever employed by the Bureau. Yours truly, MQ, DDC, DDQ, RSTQ, DBR, NDDWA, FESE, CQUR, PPR, PPASLMT. What's this? I said, looking at the letter, wondering what I was supposed to say to that. It's perfect, my assistant simply replied. The Bureau will love it, obviously, the doctor chuckled, putting down his clipboard and pen on the table next to him. We all will. We all will, I repeated, continuing to stare down at the letter. But this is my note? Of course, the doctor chuckled again, running his hands through his hair. And then we simply left for our quarters on the edge of town. Final excerpt. Professor Williams, a man with an overstuffed build and oily skin, dressed in a gray business suit with a black and red striped tie, said, standing in the doorway holding a large briefcase in his hand. Yes, I answered, staring at him. Not what I thought, but whatever, the man continued, simply walking right into my room. We need to talk. We do, I replied, surprised by his obvious rudeness. And you are? I then asked, motioning with my hand for him to sit down at my desk chair. The resistance, he answered, sitting down in my chair. I'm here to help you. To help me? I asked, looking at him, his out-of-shape build and heavy breathing, seemingly the exact opposite of anything approaching someone able to help me. Am I in danger or something? And I don't remember seeing you at the opposition's headquarters yesterday. Of course, he answered, staring at me, his eyes shifting about. We all are, but that's not the real concern right now. And I'm not with the opposition, I'm with the resistance. It's not, I said, sitting down on the bed, the mattress squeaking under my weight, and one of the springs uncomfortably poking me in the rear end. No. Then what's the real concern? I asked. And then the man opened his briefcase, took out a newfangled microphone, a large oil lamp, positioned the microphone on the desk in front of him, lit the lamp, quickly combed his hair, straightening his tie, and simply started talking. We are here today to let all of you know that we don't agree with anything that's going on. We will do everything we can to fight this travesty. We will stand by our convictions. We will speak our mind. Yes, we will do everything we can to resist this outrageous threat to all that we know and respect is true. Who are you talking to? I asked, looking at him completely perplexed. Please don't interrupt me, the man barked, momentarily glaring at me before simply continuing. Yes, we want you to know that we are appalled at this outlandish threat to our town. We are mortified by these consistent acts of public indecency. We are horrified at the routine acts on our esteemed norms. We are sickened by the obvious recklessness and clear exercise of abuse of power. We are utterly disgusted by these repeated assaults committed on our fellow townspeople. Yes, we are repulsed by this menace to the very fabric of our town. And then the man put the microphone down, blew out the oil lamp, threw the microphone back in his briefcase, packed the lamp away, got up, and started to leave. Where are you going? I asked, looking at him, utterly dismayed. What do you mean, you're with the resistance? I've said my piece, the man responded, cradling his large briefcase under his right arm. That should do for a while. But I thought you were going to help me, I said, and who are you resisting? Didn't you just hear me? The man answered, stopping for a moment near my door. What more do you want? And we resist everything. But how's that going to help me? I asked, moving slightly on the bed, the spring still poking into my buttocks. Fine, here, the man said, quickly pulling a crumpled slip of paper out of his pocket and handing it to me. And then I opened it and read, Leave this man alone. Do you hear me? But what good is this? I asked, staring at the crumpled slip of paper in my hand. It lets everyone know we care, the man answered, starting to walk towards the door again. And really, what could be more important than that? So have a good day. And then the man left. The Greatest Place on Earth. Personal note, A Work of Absurdity by Jeff Weisman, available at the Journal of Experimental Fiction, JEF Books, and on Amazon, and other places. Thank you. And just to say, my name is Jeff Weisman. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, went to college in the middle of America, went to graduate school in Boulder, Colorado, traveled throughout Europe for a while in my 20s, moved to Portland, Oregon for several years, and now I live and teach English in Elgin, Illinois. I do write daily. Some of my works include An Ordinary Life, An Anarchist's Guide to Running for Political Office, Blood Wrath Row, The Puzzle of Joshua Dover, The Tuck Murders, The Belief Equation, King Harold IV, A Disposable Nation, and The Milford Falls Caper. And to say, I'm really happy you're listening to this. I do hope you read my book. Thank you.